Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I have something pretty special for you because it's not like a typical video of mine. I have decided to rename all the shades in my Natasha Denona Glam Palette. When this palette launched, there was like a lot of discussion and I don't know, not really drama, but it was like not appreciated that she put in shade names like transition, blend, outer corner, because it's just not inclusive. If you have, like, she made this palette for people with light skin because they could use these shades exactly that way. But not only that, it's also like putting like a stamp on a shadow and telling you how you have to use it. It's just not the way a lot of people want to do their makeup. I think she did it, or like that was her explanation, was that she wanted it to be like an easy palette for someone who isn't that experienced with makeup, that these people can kind of just follow what the shade names are, like transition, blend, outer corner, inner corner, lid, something like that, and just have easy looks on hand. But I feel like, I mean, I don't know what the typical Natasha Denona customer is, but I think Natasha Denona is a well-loved brand in the online makeup community, and I think that just because of that alone, yeah, we need normal shade names. For me personally, I have talked about it in my eyeshadow palette declutter video, that for me personally, a shade name does something for me. It adds to like the fantasy and like the concept, the theming of the palette. I just feel like it gives me something extra, and if I don't get the shade name, I'm just missing something. If the shade name is missing, I'm just like, well, it's a plain brown eyeshadow. Nothing more, nothing less. And I mean, it's totally fine to look at eyeshadows like this. I think that there are a lot of people out there who just think that a brown eyeshadow is a brown eyeshadow and I use it and that's it. But for me, for a makeup lover, I think I'm not the only one out there. At least I hope so. No, one of you commented that you're feeling the same, and thank you very much for that comment because you inspired me to actually film this, because I wanted to do it like for myself, but then I decided to film a video about it and just show you what I came up with the shade names. So that brings me to the next point of this video. I wanted to tell you what kind of my inspiration for the shade names was. And of course, I took the title of the palette, the Glam Palette, as like the main theme. I don't live in the US, I live in Austria. And I feel like there's a pretty a difference between glam and what we think of is glam, because like in Austria we have like a big culture around balls, and we do have a season for these kind of events, so it's really like a big thing here. I'm not only talking about proms, we also have those, but I'm not the person that goes to these events a lot, but I have been to a lot still because it's just what we do here. So at the moment I'm reading a lot of fantasy books and I really love them. And I don't know, I took inspiration from like glam for me being also like an event in the evening, in the night. If we have a ball here, it's like in a building like a little castle or something. So like a lot of buildings in Vienna are looking like castles, and a lot of times the balls are in there. When you go inside, everything looks baroque, and yeah, there's like a big room where there is everything is basically made of gold or looks golden. So I feel like it really gives you like room to go deep into the fantasy. You could like imagine being in a different era of time, and yeah, just like being in a castle and just waltzing around as you would do. So yeah, that's all the inspiration like I took for this palette. It's like a me version of glam. So let's get into it. I zoomed you in a bit so that you can see the shade names better. I bought myself on Amazon a little label maker, and I just tried to kind of get the same font and size as it was in the palette. So I think it worked out pretty good. I mean, of course, you see it's not perfectly even because I'm like, I don't know, I do things with as little effort as possible. So I'm not like very strict with, I don't know, when I DIY something, I don't do the most to get it perfect. It just has to be good enough so that I like it. And it's perfect for me because I don't mind if something is like not cut straight or something. I'm going to show it to you a bit closer maybe. So let's start with the first eyeshadow, and it's a light pinky shimmery eyeshadow, and I called it First Dance because I thought it would be the perfect lid shade if you are on your first prom or ball and you're dancing for the first time with someone else. And I think it's such a cute pinky color, and yeah, I feel so much more when I have a shade name. I know what it was before, maybe in a corner or something, but now it's the first dance that you have at your first prom. And I'm going to swatch it for you because, you know, so this is the shade First Dance. This one here is called Nightfall. It's my favorite eyeshadow in the palette. It's a beautiful deep taupe with a lot of sparkle, and it's the most shiny one in this palette. And I think it's just a perfect eyeshadow to wear in the evening, no matter what you're doing. You can use it as a one and done eyeshadow or whatever. And yeah, I just think that Nightfall is just like a very beautiful and mythical like thing that comes every day. So this is Nightfall. I'm also going to swatch this one here. Maybe I'm just swatching it here. Then this one here is a beautiful sparkly light gold, and it's called Fairy Lights because it's really like it has a very soft but still visible sparkle running through. So I feel like out of the three golds, the lighter golds in this palette that all look kind of the same, this one here is definitely the most sparkly one. And that's why I called it fairy lights, because it reminded me of them. Like when you're sitting outside in the evening, somewhere maybe romantic, and there are fairy lights around you. It's this color here. I'm going to swatch it here now. You can see it's a beautiful, shiny, golden shade, and in different lighting than this one that I have here. It's like very strong studio lighting. You can see it's like sheeny and stuff, but the sparkles you can only see in like a bit of a darker light, not this very bright lighting I have here. Then next we have this shade here. It's a very light beigey tone with a gray undertone, so it's super cool toned and very light. On me, because I have fair skin, I can use this one here as a transition shade. And I think that if you're a bit deeper than me, then this is more like a highlighting shade for you. Like if you want something, if you want to do an all matte look and you want to have something lighter on your lid, on your inner part of the lid, then this is a great eyeshadow for you. And I think that Pure was like the only name I could take for this one because it's such a, I don't know, I feel like because it's so light, it has such an innocence about it. And I also feel like it kind of this, the word pure, it also, how can I explain it? I feel like it also goes into the direction of quietness. And yeah, I don't know, I thought about being in the forest and there is a stone that has this color, and how pure and relaxing and quiet it must be if you like sit on the stone in the forest and just listen to the trees. So that was kind of my inspiration. I'm swatching the mattes here on my wrist. I don't think that you will be able to see this one a lot because it's sit very close to my skin color. Yeah, I think you cannot really see it, but it shows up on my in my crease. If I use it as a transition shade, it does show up. So I feel like my hands and my wrist is a bit darker than my face or my eyelids actually. Okay, then for the last one in the top row, we have the shade Marble. And I named it like it because it's also like a bit of like a stone color. It has a bit more brown in it, so it's not as extremely cool toned as Pure. But yeah, it's just like a basic, beautiful, trustworthy like transition shade if you like cool tones. So it's like a taupey shade, I would say, and it's perfect. You can see how much I've used them already. I have dips going on, and I just love these two eyeshadows. This name I came up with because I have a lot of different colored backdrops for filming, but most of them are marble, and I have one that is kind of white or maybe a very light beige color, and then the marble has like the the stripes and the things that you can see, the kind of different colors in the stone, like in marble, in real marble, that you would see, were this kind of a color. And I thought it's marble is just, it's classic, it's like it's expensive, and yeah, I felt like it's a good thing to have it in this palette, a piece of marble, because like imagining you're getting ready for whatever event you're going to attend, and then yeah, I don't know, you're sitting at your vanity and it has maybe a marble top. So yeah, that was my inspiration for this one. Going to swatch it for you. Yeah, this one you can see it's way darker than the first one. So at first I'm going quickly through them and show them all to you. So in the first row we have First Dance, Nightfall, Fairy Lights, Pure, Marble, My Queen, Devotion, Fierce, Starlight, Charming, Old Money, After Party, Bubbly, Until Dawn, and Subtlety. In the second row, we have this beautiful mid-tone brown. For me, it's really like a deepening shade, but I think if you have a bit of a deeper skin tone, this is actually maybe your transition shade. And I called it My Queen, and that's because, I don't know, I feel like a brown like this is such a staple in your collection or in like a palette. It's like what you can always trust to be a good decision to take this one. And like, yeah, I just felt like it is my queen because I can trust her. I can trust this eyeshadow to always be good to me and to always be like appropriate no matter what I do and where I go. So this is my queen. I feel like it looks almost the same as the shade Marble, but it is on the lid, it really is more, a bit more warm toned, not too much, and it's deeper. But here on my hand, I don't know why it looks almost the same. Then the next shade is like a warm toned, I don't know, a bit of a lighter brownish shade, and it has a bit of like an orange undertone. So if you like warm tones, this will be one of your favorite shades in here. And I called it Devotion because I think that because of the name My Queen, I thought about the TV show from like the Bridgerton sequel, Queen Charlotte. I loved it so much. It was so good. And I felt like it was a million times better even than the Bridgerton series. But it was also, I don't know, more dramatic, and it was a bit heavy for me. But I still loved it. And I just thought of the devotion they both have for each other. And I feel like browns and taupes and matte eyeshadows in general, they are like the building block of your palette or of your look, and you have to have them in a formula and a color that you truly love and that you can always trust on. So this here is Devotion. So you can see here it's a more warm toned brown. The next eyeshadow here I called Fierce. It's this beautiful matte, deep brown eyeshadow. It has more of a cooler base. It's like a very dark, like a blackened brown. And I mainly use it as an eyeliner. I love doing like my winged liner with eyeshadow, and whenever I have this palette open or I use it, I tend to reach for this one as an eyeliner. I use an angled brush, and yeah, it looks so good and so strong. When I have eyeliner on, I always feel like, I don't know, I'm kind of in my warrior mode. I don't know how else I could explain it. It's like I feel fierce when I'm wearing a winged eyeliner, and so I called it that. It's kind of our, I don't know, yeah, our warrior makeup is made of this. Then the next one is a bit more of a romantic shade name, and it's a very bright silvery champagne, and I felt like I could only call it Starlight because it's kind of because it is like the silver tone. I felt like it is very ethereal, so it had to be something in the sky, and because it's so bright and light, I called it Starlight. And you can see how bright it is, so it had to be called Starlight, I feel like. Then the last one in the second row is this beautiful, like a bit of a deeper silver metallic, but it's not really deep. It's like mid-toned, I would say. I had to think of knights when I looked at this color because it's like this silver tone that that the uniforms of the knights are made of, like from the metal. And I don't know, I felt like it has to be called charming because like it's a prince or a knight, and it's charming. And I also feel like if you use it, I like this eyeshadow especially for my lower lash line, and it's just a charming eyeshadow. What else can I say? You can see it has a deep base and then like a bright silvery shift. Okay, in the last row we have this very beautiful and intense warm toned gold, and for me it looked like coins, like old big chunky pieces of gold, like you find it in, I don't know, in some like royal like jewelry collections. And that's why I called it old money, because I felt like it is that kind of gold that you can only find in families with old money. So this is our kind of our royal jewelry, and I'm going to swatch it. And you can see already it is so much. You can see here it has a bit of a warmer base, and then again it's very bright and beautiful, and it's very opaque. Some of these lighter ones, they're a bit more on the sheerer side, but this one here is truly opaque and very impactful. Then next we have the shade After Party. It's this beautiful deep brown that has a warmer base to it, or like a warmer undertone. And then it has a bit of golden sparkle running through it, but it's very fine and elegant. And I thought it's perfect for an after party. Like if you have been to an event, and there's going to be an after party, I feel like I would go like to the, I don't know, I would go to a little. I thought that maybe if you have been attending like an event and it was long and maybe exhausting, and then there is an after party where you really can get loose. Like, for example, because I work in the classical music field, I am at like concerts and stuff like that, and I feel like it's like a place where you have to be professional and socialize and stuff. I don't like that, but sometimes I have to do it. And then after that, like concert is an after party often, and there is the place where everyone gets loose and everyone can relax and have fun, and it's not about being professional anymore. And I love that when that happens. It's the best. So I thought that this is an eyeshadow that I would like maybe put on all over my lid after the professional event, and then I go partying in this one here. Then the next one here is called Bubbly. It's like a light golden champagne shade, and I just instantly thought about champagne when I looked at this color. And I didn't want to call it champagne because I feel like champagne is like, for us in the makeup community, it's like not the drink, but it's more like a kind of color. And I really wanted to stay like with the theming of like balls and everything. And so I thought what we are going to drink there. So we would drink maybe champagne, and that's very bubbly. So I wanted to take a name that really reminds me of the drink and not of like the color. So this one here is bubbly. You can see that these two here are almost identical. This is just a bit more sparkly and this is a bit more smooth. Then the next eyeshadow is this beautiful like deep gray color. It's a shimmer eyeshadow. It's not super metallic, it's not sparkly, it's just like a plain, simple and like beautiful shimmer eyeshadow. It is very opaque and deep, and that's why I called it Until Dawn, because I feel like that's like a shade of the night. Like it's the night sky and it stays like this until dawn. And yeah, it's a very mythical eyeshadow because it can be so deep. So if you use it all over your lid or you really pack it on, then you have a very smoky eye with this one. You can see here how deep the base is. And it's very similar to the second one I swatched. I will swatch it again next to it. Yeah, it's like a very nice eyeshadow for a bit more of a smoky look. Then our last eyeshadow here is another one of these very light golden shades in here. And I felt like this one here is like the base color is a tiny bit deeper than the one from Bubbly. And so I thought that if you use this one here on your lid, it's a very subtle, beautiful light golden sheen that you get. It's like more like for an everyday glam. I actually think about my mom when I see this eyeshadow because every time I want to put on makeup on her, she always tells me not too much sparkle and not too intense everything, and she wants something pretty, something shiny, but something subtle for every day. And she's a very elegant woman, and so I thought like for the more mature, elegant and glam woman or man, this one here would be perfect for like an everyday shade and you'd still feel gorgeous and royal. So this is Subtlety. And please let me know if I wrote it down correctly, because if not, that's embarrassing. I will swatch it next to the other gold so that you can see that they are very similar. And did we need 3 of them in one palette? I'm not so sure. But you can see this has a tiny bit of a lighter base. This has a tiny bit of a deeper base. Like, it's just deeper than this one. These two are more close to each other. This one is the tiniest bit that you can imagine deeper. But on the eyes, they look all the same pretty much. Only this one here, because it has the sparkles, it looks a bit shinier than the other two. I'm swatching the first 2 eyeshadows again, just so that you can see them all side by side. So I'm putting here first Dance, our pinky eyeshadow. It's here and yeah, very beautiful. And then the more grayish taupey shade I'm swatching here next to this one. I feel like you can immediately see that this one is actually a gray and this one here is a taupe. And I don't know if the camera picks it up, but this one is more sparkly and this one is more like a smoother and yeah, a very deep version of this color. So that are all of my shade names. And let me know down below in the comments. I would be so interested what you think about them. If they go together, I feel like they're, even if they come from different like directions, from different angles of the topic, and they all go very well together. And I'm really excited about this. I like it so much more since I've done it. I have already done it like 4 weeks ago or so, and I just couldn't film it. And now that I've used it for 2 weeks, this palette is so much more exciting now because it has like a real theming and it's the fantasy, and now I have the fantasy. I thought that maybe it's not possible if I do it myself, but because the stickers are so good, the little labels I made, they look so good and so like original. Even if I see that I have put them in, they really mix into the palette and I don't feel like it's actually something that doesn't belong in the palette. So for me, this feels super cohesive now and super exciting. And I mean, like for example, the shade First Dance, I'm really not a fan of like lighter pink shades, but now with the shade name, I feel like it's such a romantic and beautiful eyeshadow and I want to use it all the time. So for me, shade names do something and they add so much more to an eyeshadow than I think some brand owners know or believe, because otherwise we wouldn't get shade names like Blend or Inner Corner. So I hope that you found this video interesting. I know it's very unusual, but I just felt like it was so overdue for me to put in names in this palette, and I'm super happy that I did it. Thank you all so much for watching, and let me know down below in the comments what you think of it. and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!